Hi Phil, thanks for joining us on the latest edition of the People in Housing podcast. Really appreciate you coming on. So I'm keen to dig into everything around the merger and the DLO and customer satisfaction and what's happened in the last 18 months. But do you want to start off by giving us a bit of an overview to your background in the sector and what you do at the moment for Riverside?
Yeah, first of all, hello to everybody, and it's a big pleasure for me to come on today's podcast and give you some background to the challenges that we're presently facing and the sector's facing as a whole. So I come on here today with over 40 years of experience in the housing sector. Spent many years operating at a senior management level, both in a number of housing associations, though equally in the private sector. Over the years, I've gone into organisations and recognised some of the issues affecting certainly repairs and maintenance and asset management world. And as a consequence of that, we've implemented a number of changes. So I see myself as being extremely customer driven. I also like to see that I develop my staff, and so that we get some succession planning into our business plans. I'm a strong believer in introducing technology and innovation into our models, and I've got various examples of that. I really wear my heart on my sleeve for housing in the asset management world as well. I sit on the National Housing Maintenance Forum committee. One of my key responsibilities in there is leading on some thought leadership, including European study tours, but also supporting the team organising an annual conference, and we've got that coming up in Stratford early in the new year. I also sit in the steering group of the Direct Works, which is a similar organisation which thrives on sharing best practice, particularly in direct works and direct labour organisations, and utilising the skills and knowledge that the number of the steering group members have there, inviting new companies to come and present their stories with their clients and sell those on to others with a view to improving the sector as a whole. And I also do some work with the Disruptive Innovators Network, and again linking into some of the new innovation and change in the sector and introducing that into the asset management world. So I thrive on being at the centre of services and trying to improve them for our customers. And at the heart of it, I've been here at Riverside for 9 years, which is a wonderful organisation, which not only serves what we call our general needs customers, but also we've got a large care and support business, and also a substantial stock of home ownership, which we serve right across the country.
Okay, so 40 years in the sector, you've pretty much seen it all and done it all then. And then coming into the merger then, when did that happen and what were the main objectives? Like, what was the reasoning behind that to make it happen?
Well, we've just gone through the 3rd anniversary of the merger, and probably that it's no different to many other mergers that are taking place across the country. You've got two excellent organisations coming together to build on their financial capacity and strength. It's well publicised that One Housing had a substantial amount of stock that required building safety works, particularly on the cladding, which was a real pressure on their business plan. And therefore, a key partner or merger was required to support that business. But it was a very positive experience in bringing One Housing and Riverside together because of the portfolios. One Housing was essentially based in London and the London boroughs, for which Riverside also had a footprint, and it complemented our stock, particularly in the southeast, which we have a range of stock throughout the London boroughs, but also running down into Kent and right across the to the southwest, including Bristol.
Okay.
Not only was this all about geography, one housing group had a similar portfolio to Riverside, so it had a general needs portfolio, and we've been able to bring that into the group. It's also it was a strong player in care and support, and equally was Riverside. So bringing those two organisations together, it certainly brought more opportunity to support, not just support the business internally, but also support the care and support offer externally, and work with government about policy for going forward. And you may well have seen some of the influential support that John Glenton, our executive director, has provided to government and the press in weeks gone by, as it would a major influencer in that sector. The other aspect of it was a very large home ownership portfolio, in which once again Riverside was a key player. We've got a strong portfolio in our Liverpool-based stock, so we also had the expertise around managing home ownership there. So again, it complemented our stock going forward. So in essence, there was a natural fit from these two organisations, and that now makes Riverside a key player in the G15, and we've got a large stock portfolio throughout the country now.
No pressure for you then?
There's pressure for everybody in housing, really, but from a personal basis, I am supporting the business, looking after our London and South East stock, which cuts across the two portfolios of One Housing and Riverside. And my key responsibilities are around repairs and maintenance, and ensuring our gas compliance is at the top level. My colleagues across asset services are looking after the other aspects, including building safety and our core asset management offer. And that just shows the strength of the group, where it's able to support the business right across the sector and ensure that we get the competencies into those key areas.
Yeah, of course. And what do you think the biggest challenges have been since the merger happened and over the last couple of years?
I don't think the challenges are probably any different to any other housing associations, really. The housing agenda has been massive over the last few years since COVID. We've obviously, on the back of our Webb's Law, following the horrible death of the little 2-year-old in Rochdale, there's been a spotlight on the sector in terms of damp and mould. And that's resulted in customers airing concerns about the quality of social housing, and probably brought to the surface another work stream that wasn't there prior to that. In addition to that, customer expectations appear to have increased since COVID, and Riverside's no exception to the fact that we are experiencing probably upwards of 20% increase in repairs demand. So that continues to be a real challenge. It's fair to say that going alongside that, the ability to secure contractors and staff with the competencies and capacity to deal with not just repairs, but the building safety agenda is a huge mountain to climb for all of us at the moment. Riverside's not immune again to the Building Safety Act and the requirements there. So actually ensuring that we can get the competencies into the business and address the building safety concerns and meet those regulatory requirements continues to be a challenge, and to complete. And yet we are making good headway on the remediation of the cladding works across the business. As anybody that works in housing will also know, that our business plans are under severe pressure. Some of the key challenges in there is construction costs are increasing, and that's because of salaries and materials and fuel. So again, Riverside's not immune to that. And there lies some of the strength of some of the merger that comes together.
How are you tackling that then if the costs have gone up? Have you had to put some works on the back burner and prioritise other works, or have you done it differently?
Yeah, like any business, we've had to really think about where our investment plans are, what the priorities are. And a good example of that is us maintaining that focus on the building safety work and keeping our customers safe, and that has actually been key. Equally, it's not missing the opportunities with governments and some of the funding available. Certainly through building remediation and meeting the building safety requirements. But in addition to that, looking at the likes of the net zero opportunities. So
Yeah.
we were successful in securing a significant amount of funding through SHDF, second round of bidding. So
Okay.
we continue to look at some of those issues as we progress through the merger.
Okay, Brill. And what do you think's been the biggest success so far since you guys have merged, or that you're most proud of?
I think the biggest success probably is first of all around the people, because
Okay.
this really is a people business.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have gone through a lot of pain in the last couple of years. But some of our centralized teams are now looking at the efficiencies and streamlining systems and processes and driving the efficiencies out of that. I'd say that we're still in some of the early stages of that. But what's been key to this is taking the people on the journey.
Yeah.
And what I've been really enthused about since working in London over the last 12 months is how individuals have responded to, first of all, the housing agenda, how they want to get out of bed and come to work and make a difference every day. On the back of that, part of what we do is ensure that they get the development and support and direction they need. So, the way Riverside works, that's absolutely key to this, and unlocking the potential in our teams and actually maximising those opportunities has absolutely been key. So what I've seen is a key change in people's direction and feelings of coming to work and making a difference. And we're looking forward to our second staff survey that we've taken on board to see some of the results of that. Clearly you have to go through some pain, actually make some of these changes.
Of course.
But in essence, those on board with us now can really see the difference that those changes are making, and
Yeah.
seeing those improvement in services.
I think with any merger, there was the biggest thing you're gonna have to tackle with the people and the restructure and aligning the cultures together and getting everyone on the same hymn sheet. So it seems like you're coming out the other end of that, which is good. You mentioned earlier about the customer expectations have increased. In what way, and how do you kind of measure and monitor that, and like your performance in terms of how they view things?
Yeah, so I mean, the first issue there is demand. I would say. So we have seen demand for services increasing, particularly around the number of repairs.
Yeah.
And that can reflect on a couple of issues, really. Some of it's hard to evidence, and the fact that people are in the homes a lot longer, there's a lot more people working from home,
Yeah.
and that represents some of the challenges. But I think we're also coming to the phase of a key point where many of the homes were built in the 50s and 60s and 70s as some of that their first quality social housing, and that's now coming to the point where many of the non-traditional builds want regenerating and are creating more repairs. It's also fair to say is that the public scrutiny on the condition of social housing and the services from the landlords has come under more and more scrutiny through the media.
Yeah.
And particularly the visibility of the ombudsman and the regulator. So we've seen a substantial increase in referrals through to the ombudsman, which are clearly challenging the standards and ensuring that we're actually meeting those standards with prescriptive times for replying to complaints. So there's more transparency in the sector now, and people know where to go, and people are getting signposts to those services. which
Okay.
is really making a key difference. And the other element is, and probably linked to a lot of the work that you and the team do, and that's linked to staff capacity and
Yeah.
competence at the end of the day. Because if we haven't got that capacity in the supply chain, well, fundamentally repairs are going to take longer. And
Mhm.
some of the key feedback that we get from customers is the repairs are taking too long,
Okay.
along with quality of work and along with missed appointments as well. But that whole expectation is absolutely on another level. And I draw some similarities to the fact that when we went into COVID, the likes of Amazon and DPD sort of infiltrated the market, where
Okay.
you can order something online now and you get that service within 24 hours delivered to your doorstep. This job is very much different to that, because you're
They
actually
expect the
going over
same.
the doorstep and you've
Yeah.
got to carry out a function, and you need to be able to do things right first time, the right skills, the right materials, and the right time allocated.
Yeah.
So it is more complicated, but the sector has got to modernise itself and rise to those challenges. So that's, some of my experience of the things that I've found in terms of those challenges.
Mm. And do you have a way of getting that feedback from the customers as well? Is there like a tool or targets that you guys have to adhere to?
Yeah, there are regulatory standards now, and the tenant satisfaction measures are transparent now, with very clear definitions. So actually, ensuring that we phone customers or texting customers after the completion of repairs, or carrying out random calls by independent um, surveyors to understand what the quality of repairs is, or the perception
Okay.
score, as we call it. So we've got a number of measures there, um, and clearly we benchmark them
Yeah.
against others in the sector. And that's some of the work that I actually do as well within the National Housing Maintenance Forum and Direct
Mm.
Works, where we sort of look to where organisations are doing better in certain areas and try and tap into their stories to see if they've got any technologies or tips for actually moving that forward.
Yeah,
So,
of course.
there's plenty of opportunity out there for sharing that best practice. And I think that's one of the highlights of working in housing, that
Yeah.
we tend to share really good practice, where not particularly in a competitive way, but in a way that says we all want to do well for the sector.
Yeah, I
And the
think you
more
need to as
efficient we
well,
can
don't you?
make things, is the more money will be left for funding and building and developing new homes.
Yeah, I think when we met at the Diet Works Forum as well, like you're all in the same boat, but no one communicates together. So something like that, where you all get together, you're all doing the same thing, but you just want to help each other out at the end of the day. I think that's
Absolutely.
essential for the rest of the industry to kind of move forwards with that. And in terms of the DLO, then how many trades have you got on board now?
Well, we're probably operating in London with the best part of 100 tradesmen at the moment, covering all
Okay.
the aspects of repairs on maintenance in what we call fabric. We're also doing the repairs and gas servicing, and we're also doing some electrical inspections in-house. What we have recognised is that we haven't got the capacity at the moment to do it all.
Okay.
London is a very tight market
Yeah.
as well. So, we've very much got a mixed economy here.
Okay.
Our goal is to streamline systems and processes and expand our own internal office, so that brings us more control around people and culture, and our ability to communicate more effectively with customers and engage them in the service, and actually provide a better service all round. And that's our long-term commitment here, and it's a model we've seen which is extremely successful around the rest of the country, and that example being with our branded in-house offer through Evolve, who operate out of the Northwest.
Okay, sure. And when the merger happened, how was the DLO at a certain point in terms of performance, and was there anything that you had to address to bring up to speed quite urgently?
So I think when we formed the DLO in London was at a little bit of a crossroads. There were certain
Okay.
improvements that needed making with the systems and processes. and some of them changes were made at a very early stage. We're probably on the second iteration of some of those changes now, and doing an in-depth review. We've got a major integration, high-level integration plan taking place at the moment, which will concentrate on pulling together our housing management functions and the database so that they're all on one database. It will also put all our stock condition onto one database as well, and ensuring that all our staff are also using our Salesforce, which is our customer relationship management system. Once we get the efficiencies for pulling those systems together, we can then actually put on the back of that a lot of our internal DLO systems and get the efficiencies from that. So we have some long-term plans, and at the moment we are just ensuring that our services are stable and we're able to deliver the best quality service to our customers in these challenging times at the moment. But we have some real plans that will see our services take a step forward in the next 2 years.
Yeah, of course. And do most organisations operate off different databases, like you touched on there, with the housing and the trades and the stock condition, or is that something you've seen previously at other roles before you joined in, and you said let's do that same here?
Yeah, it's not uncommon. You know, there's a range of options within the sector. Probably concentrated around a handful of housing management systems, but when two organisations come together with different ones, it's seen as an opportunity to rationalise those and really make sure those systems and processes are streamlined for going forward. So that's not uncommon. And in fact, it's not just unique to the housing world. Many others, you know, we've been working with some of our supply chain partners on materials, and they've recently gone through the merger of some smaller merchants and putting themselves onto one system. So, you know, it's not uncommon to not just this sector, but many sectors when mergers take place. And, you know, that's the way you drive the efficiencies going forward.
Okay, fantastic. And do you use external contractors as well to support the works if you haven't got enough trades in-house, or is it all purely through the in-house team that you do your works?
Yeah, we are using a range of contractors at the moment. I think our current database at high level is somewhere in the region of 14 key contractors. And some of that is reflected of the geographical area that we're actually covering.
Okay.
You know, so some of our more remote areas are better serviced by the more local contractors. And, you know, some of those challenges really reflect where we are as a business. So it certainly isn't one size fits all, and you know, we are leaning on some of our key supply chain partners. There's also some of our supply chain partners have specialisms, and you know, we've got quite a challenging and complex stock here, particularly in London. So, for instance, we still have to have specialist contractors on the books to deal with roof leaks on high-rise buildings, etc., or access arrangements for high-rise. So there is a range of reasons why we actually need, you know, different supply chain partners. And you know, just another illustration of that, the fact that we have stock in Cambridge, Central London, Dover, and Bristol would mean that we need at least 5 glazing companies to be able to provide an efficient service in the type of works that we do.
Yeah, and do you monitor and track their performance the same way you do your internal guys as well?
Yeah, it's something we're building on at the moment. You know, we totally understand that we need to monitor, you know, cost and quality and feedback from customers, and the feedback from customers is the most important issue there. So trying to absolutely secure, you know, supply chain partners that they've got the technology, that have got the customer skills and the technical skills to provide, you know, the works on time. You know, we also have to ensure that we're abiding by procurement regulation as well. So, you know, those again, some of the challenges that we face, but we're well equipped to get over them.
Okay, brilliant. And the last 12, 18 months, the candidate pool for the whole sector is really shortened. Have you found the same yourselves at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, it really is a challenge getting the right people with the right
Mm.
qualities, the right competencies, and the right experience.
Yeah,
But that resonates to your own offer and your own ability to attract, recruit. For me, some of that is more about um, how much you are rewarding them, but what your full terms and conditions are,
yeah,
and what type of work environment you can provide. So here at Riverside, we're benchmarking our salaries with some of the best in the sector, particularly around our London stock.
okay,
Number two, we've got some very flexible arrangements with our terms and conditions that allow home working and that ability to work agile, which is really important. We really have good holidays and a good scheme which supports all our staff. Really, at the end of the day, we're absolutely committed to developing individuals. And we'd like to think that, as we make the improvements we're making at the moment, that it's our colleagues and our staff that are helping us sell the opportunities that are there in the sector and really attract some of the best candidates. I'm pleased to say some of the work that we've done in the last 6 months, we have attracted some real quality candidates who have started with us and have sort of entering this journey now and supporting Riverside being one of the best housing associations in the country. And
yeah,
we're on that path at the moment. We're also looking at growing our own. And, I take great pride of things that have happened in the last 2 months where some young employees from our company have recently got promotion to
oh, wow,
supervisory and team leader roles. And
yeah,
that speaks volumes externally about what our offer is and creates opportunity not just for those, but for those vacancies left behind. So this
mm.
is really important. And again, getting out to our customer base and ensuring that those vacancies are there for all to see, so our customers can see those opportunities, and trying to ensure that we get a workforce that reflects our neighbourhoods and communities that we work in. That's absolutely key for
Yeah,
me, working in housing.
yeah, brilliant. I think it's good that you're benchmarking as well what you're doing compared to other providers in the area because it's so competitive now. Everyone's after the same thing all of the time. So if you're constantly benchmarking it to see where you're at with that, yeah, it's a good way of making sure that you keep attracting and retaining the top talent. Do you have an apprentice program at all to get the younger generation to come in on the trade side?
Yeah, we do have an apprenticeship program, which we're extremely proud of as
Okay.
Riverside. In all honesty, in our London stock at the moment, that's not where it needs to be. There's further work to be done there. But we also need to make sure that we're coaching and mentoring the teams that are going to be coaching and mentoring those individuals.
Yeah.
We want to make sure the operating environment's right for these individuals to come in now and learn a trade. And at the moment we've got other challenges around at the moment, but our long-term vision is to build a workforce which has got a good proportion of apprenticeships,
Mhm.
and not just trade level, but also administration and professional level. So those are the opportunities we're looking at. Um, we're blessed by the fact we've got an extremely experienced and proactive people services team that
Yeah.
support our apprenticeship program and ensure that mentoring support's in place. We've got a large pool of trainers, internal trainers as well, that carry out some of that training. So those extra curriculum skills that we can offer to apprentices when they come into the business is really key. And it's worth saying, I think the housing sector also provides good terms and conditions for those apprentices when they start work. So we're excited by the fact that we're starting to look at those things in these next 12 months and
Mm.
ensure that we've got succession planning in place and really ensure that the business is fit for the future.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think it's good you're promoting from within as well, and moving people up into them supervisory roles. So the 100 trades that you mentioned earlier you've got at the moment, what's that looking? Is there a plan of what you want to get that to in the next 2 to 3 years? Like 120, 150, for example, or nothing like that yet planned?
So I'm certainly not going to put a number on it at the moment, but the feedback from our customers is that they prefer us to have our own staff, but they prefer to
Yeah,
ensure that we can ensure that we're getting the quality and the timeliness of our repair service where it needs to be.
yeah,
And we're also a great believer in terms of that quality, ensuring that our compliance levels are at 100%, and that we can rely on the quality of the engineers that's actually undertaking the work on gas and electric. So we've got that control.
yeah,
Um, Building that capacity takes time, but it means to say that you need the systems and processes in place before you build that particular model.
mhm,
So it certainly isn't a case of we've got a date when we're going to shift from a mixed economy to an internal delivery team. It's
mhm,
about ensuring that we've got the data and insights to understand where demand will be, making sure that we can bring people in that are going to be productive in a particular area. For those other associations operating in the London environment, efficiency is a key challenge,
yeah,
because your ability to move between jobs and geographies is a key challenge down here. So it's about getting that data overlaid to see, where we can bring in a direct workforce, what that balance is of specialisms, and where is best served by a third party in a remote area. So there's a lot of work and science goes on behind the scenes for
yeah.
us to understand our optimum delivery model, and that's what we're trying to do.
Okay, fantastic. And we're fast approaching the end of the year now. What are your priorities going into 2025? What are you looking ahead to?
Well, we're just carrying on this sort of fantastic journey we're on at the moment. And every day is a challenge because we're going through business transformation, and
Yeah,
that business transformation revolves around IT systems, which is a huge project in itself. And as I say, we're very lucky to have a very experienced team working out of our head office that are supporting us with that transformation program. Um, we've got a huge project to do as well in terms of our IT, the IT systems, and the business processes that sit behind that.
yeah,
And again, we are utilising the experts that we've got within the business to ensure that we've got a very clear path to actually take that forward. Now, then that resonates to our colleagues, because we're putting comprehensive training programs in place to ensure that people are trained to use the equipment, they're trained alongside the processes, and then that makes it easier to induct and integrate people going forward. So we've got a huge program on those two strands next year. But
okay,
above anything else, we're also continuing on the integration, which will mean to somewhat a culture change. And,
mhm,
very difficult to define what a culture is, but,
yeah,
our vision and values of the company are clearly need embedding in our business, and ensuring that people are all operating the same way, which is really with that customer in mind at the end of the day. And we've got a huge piece of work to do there, probably like many other organisations,
yeah, of
because despite where we are doing well, we can always do better, and we strive to
course.
do that. So some of those are the main challenges. In London down here at the moment, we are focused on onboarding one of the major tier one suppliers to support us in our repairs and maintenance delivery.
Okay,
Um, but also to work with a number of our key partners who I see as recruitment agencies to support our long-term future. And I know many of the teams have been working with our own talent team to
yeah,
ensure that we get the message out there about some of the fantastic opportunities available in Riverside, because we really want some of the best people to
of
come and
course.
work here to really make a difference to our customer base.
Yeah, but and have you changed your interview style or questions that you ask to make sure you're getting the right people in who can communicate well and drive that culture as well, especially on the trade side as well, where they've got to be a lot, speak to the customers a lot more now when they're in the homes rather than just go and fix it and get out. It's putting the face to the business as well. So have you changed your style on what you do?
I think the key thing we've found in the last 12 months is the sector is getting harder.
Yeah.
And our ability and openness with candidates to tell them some of the challenges they're going to come into, but how they'll be supported, is really resonating with some of the key people that come along and say, I want to be part of this challenge, and I want to be part of this change, and I want to be part of this transformation. And fundamentally, Riverside has a very good name in the sector, and we want to retain that excellent reputation that the company's got. And alongside a good reputation comes a reputation for individuals who, spend some of the time here and their career working here and being successful. And that's what we look for is, success out of our people, progression with our people, but more than anything else, sort of performance improvements and, value for money and customer satisfaction for our many thousands of customers which we serve.
Yeah, fantastic. And I just want to wrap up by asking, with you being in the sector for 40 years, what still excites you and gets you out of bed in the morning to keep doing what you do?
Well, I'm lucky to have had a very successful career in housing, and what gets me out of bed is the ability to make a difference every day.
Okay.
Now, some of that can be, aspects of adversity when someone's got a problem. It might be a small repair that needs doing, and we've got systems and processes in place to make that difference. Above all anything else, though, I've spoke a lot about people today.
Yeah.
We've got some real success stories where people have been out of work. We've got them into work. I've seen people progress through the career. And, I really get a buzz out of seeing young people develop and see organisations thrive and actually introduce change, be more efficient, and that people get a real joy of being in the sector. And for me, that whole people aspect is, I think people that work in housing want to work there. They have a passion for it, and they have a passion for making a difference. And, I also thrive on the fact that I have got a tremendous amount of experience. I'm not saying I've got the answers to everything, and I haven't always got it right. But if people listen to my stories, even when I get it wrong, I'm honest with them, and when people can make a real difference going forward.
How you learn, isn't it? Yeah.
And so all that learning, it just gives me personally a buzz to be around and stuff like that. And, I like to pass that on.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think that's a great place to end. So, Phil, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate your feedback and your honesty today.
Thanks very much, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you.